Hey, AfterBuzzers, welcome back. You are watching the after show for Homeland on a special night. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I always have to laugh at this intro.
There's that music. Just gets you in the mood.
Yeah, we don't get the jazz music quite yet. We just go those little beeps and then. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There's the jazz. Hey, AfterBuzzers, welcome back. You're watching.
We're glad to see you guys again.
Yeah, that's true. You guys are watching the after show for Homeland, where we're covering episode 6, The Return.
That's right.
I'm your host, Rick Hong, and you can find me at RICKHONG on all social media. And I'm joined by Leslie Corral. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at LeslieThaFace. Leslie Corral, that's me.
Okay, so just a note, guys. The Oscars were on Sunday, so if we're not on our normal night, that's why. But we're here. We're here to cover it. The episode, and I'm so happy because finally this episode is going, or the season's really going.
And we got our first big death. Essentially, they chop someone off, and that's it. Off the call sheet. What do you think about this episode?
I'm happy because now we are more than halfway through. We've got this is episode 6. I think there's 9 total in this season,
and we're kind of getting I'm getting a sense now of where the plot's going.
Yeah,
and they kind of introduced a new entity essentially in this episode, and
a new evil.
Yeah.
At first I was like, wait, is it new entity? I was like, wait, which character? And I'm like, right, a new evil. You're right.
It almost gave me a little bit of, I don't know if you watch Mr. Robot, just a little bit of that vibe of just like this big question mark of this looming, I don't know if it's a government agency, I don't know if it's a company, I don't know if it's just a huge conspiracy group, but something's happening.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so last week when we were watching, we saw that everybody broke into Carrie's house, and luckily Quinn was saved by Carrie. Otherwise, one of our favorite characters actually would have been dead.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I would have been on the floor sobbing.
Luckily, they also managed to end the episode with Carrie finding Quinn's phone and seeing the photos, and it's kind of where it opens up.
Yeah, she has been trying to talk to Quinn, and apparently was in a waiting room for 2 hours before finally
at the police station before they told her, "Hey, he's not here."
Not even here. And I could imagine the frustration, because I feel like if you're anyone who's ever waited in a waiting room at a doctor's office, or I don't know if at a police
doctor's
station.
office, hopefully not a police station, but the DMV,
trying
the
to
grocery
get your
store,
social security card, any kind of dentist office, and after 2 hours, at first he didn't even want to tell her. He was just like, wait your turn. I don't know what he said, but then finally she was like, no, hello. And then he's like, he ain't even here.
My favorite is always when you watch something like that. So she says, okay, I'm here. Clearly she's been there for 2 hours. And he looks up at her and he says wait, who are you here to see? And I was like, really, dude? Really? I was like, come on. I was like, they just had this big, huge, aftermath of this guy supposedly holding people hostage, and there were gunshots. And he's like, wait, who's the guy again?
Yeah, that was just I felt all of Carrie's frustrations in that moment. But she pulls some strings and gets to see Quinn. So
eventually, yeah. I mean,
cool.
And conveniently, it's interesting to see that all of a sudden he's on a 72-hour lockdown. So now she has to wait even longer.
I know. It's kind of made me feel like, I don't know, like the audience were waiting slowly just to get pieces, little bits and pieces of this whole puzzle. And Carrie got a couple of them this episode as well.
Yeah. So from there we go to who we find out, and I don't think we've ever seen before, but the current president now is Alan Dale, the actor who you might have recognized from at least back in my day, The OC.
Yes.
He's also in
Once
Lost.
Upon a Time.
In Once Upon a Time? Okay.
Yes,
Not a show that I watch, but...
I like him as an actor. I feel like he always plays a good, stern looking,
he's
not
great.
Evil man.
Oh my gosh, he's great. So he's he's addressing the bombings in New York, and we see the president-elect in her safe house, and she's watching along, and she's still saying, hey, you know what? Where's my chief of staff? Where's Rob Emmons?
Yeah, I feel like she's still at the beginning of the episode where we left her at the end. I was left with an impression of this scene with the president and he's addressing, because Homeland's kind of shied away from showing a president, because usually like they've kind of almost followed the track record of the actual real life president in office. They've used clips of Obama and just like here or there in the past. So this was, I felt like it was interesting. I feel like they're doing it in my field because they're intentionally now wanting to make the presidency a part of the show, as opposed to like just the backdrop of, you know what I mean, what's happening. And obviously, you know, with Carrie being a friend or an advisor to the new president-elect, I feel like it's going to become, you know, we're going to see the White House a lot. You know, it's going to be one of the settings predominantly.
Especially since we have since we have the president-elect in the series as a character, and she's going through her own issues. So after we see her, like, you know, pretty much isolated, and you know we're kind of still trying to figure out who's the puppet master behind keeping her isolated and away from her people, and kind of scary because she's like the next power of the United States, and she can't even get.
It continued to make me feel so uncomfortable because, again, you know, her own chief of staff doesn't know anything that's happening. Nobody on her team is with her. It's just all these outside people. All these outside people, you know, under the guise of we're protecting you. We think this terror threat could still be after you, and at this point, it just smells of garbage, and I think she can sense that as well.
So then we see, you know, Carrie, you know, going to Conlon.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, dude, take a look at these things. And at first, Conlon's kind of like, whatever, man.
I know. He's still kind of like, what are you still trying to pull? Like, you're still responsible. But she kind of makes him see reason in that conversation.
Or at least kind of plant like a bug in his ear for him to be like, wait a minute, okay, maybe like Sekou isn't so blatantly guilty.
Exactly. And she put that nugget of, you know, someone else is involved, regardless of if I think Sekou's involved. You know that person's still out there. And I feel like that's sort of called to his sense of duty. Like, he knows the job's not done as far as figuring out what happened, and you can't ignore Carrie anymore, or you can't just brush her off like she's got something, and he needs to help her figure it out.
Yeah. And finally we see Saul back.
Yes.
Saul back in America.
Saul back, and finally getting me interested, because I've been vocal about, you know, I wasn't that intrigued with this storyline, but I feel like this episode, it's kind of coming together. Like, it's opening up stuff, and I was definitely interested in that, and especially with I'm not sure the woman who it was whose office he went to, but he had made a request.
Her name's Mercedes, I believe.
He had made a request, and they're just like, almost like giving him the runaround. They're like, oh, well, we didn't get that. We don't know what's happening. And, you know, later he's like, and I know her. She's on top of her stuff. And this isn't like, so either she's getting orders from someone. Something's happening. I feel like Saul's intentionally being boxed out.
Yeah. He smells like there's something fishy, which is funny too, because as he walks in, it has nothing. They're all like, hey, so this is what's going on. We're gonna debrief you about the bombing. This, and he's like, dude, don't care about that. This is what I want to know. What's going on with Tova Rivlin? He's like, that's what the stuff that I asked about. So I mean, it's interesting.
And they're just like, no, we don't have that for you. And it's funny because I saw that scene. I was like, I feel like they're ignoring you. And then later he said it. He vocalized it. I was like, yes, Saul, I know. This isn't right. What's happening?
Because for me, I was actually the opposite. I would have done the same thing. You know, being like that young guy. I believe his name is Nate, who we've never seen before.
Yes.
You know, I would have been. You know, as soon as like whoever I needed to be debriefing, I would be talking about. Of course, he has to kiss Saul's ass a little bit, but I would be talking about about the bombings. I wouldn't be thinking about something that would appear to be secondary. So I actually had the opposite reaction that you did.
Okay.
But your instincts were right.
I was just right away. I was like, everybody's like just ignoring Saul, like he doesn't matter, but I feel like he does, and that's why there's this extra calculated effort to keep him out of the loop, keep him outside of the box.
So what did you think about Nate just kind of being, like really just kind of betraying his boss? Essentially, on some end, I mean, I guess Saul probably still is higher up in the chain, but I
thought maybe he senses stuff too. I feel like maybe he knows the normal protocol of what these things happen. Saul's obviously been in the CIA for so long. You know, there's precedent. He's got clout, and he probably, I don't know. I'm guessing. I feel like he probably sensed what's up, and something's not right here, and maybe he makes me trust him a little more. I don't know. And I don't trust anybody.
Is that okay?
Right now, I'm not trusting anybody. It's too tough.
Yeah, and essentially find out that normally there is surveillance on a lot of different people, but for some reason there's no surveillance on Tova Rivlin, and there's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
So then finally we later come to Agent Conlon. Now he's trying to get in the thick of things, and he meets up with he meets up with his informant.
Yes. Of course, the shows always do this. Like, this was the episode where I'm like starting to like him. I'm like, okay, he's not such a jerk. He's not just a terrible person who, wants to entrap Muslim teenagers, and obviously, we'll get to what happens to him at the end of the episode, but I don't know, I just started really like to sympathize with him, and, he talks to his informant, and he's asking him, do you know this guy? What's going on? He's really trying to figure out, and I mean, the kid doesn't know anything, because as we, the audience, know, like, he was not involved in this.
Yep.
And then I loved he was just like, dude, he looks like you. I mean, he's probably one of your guys, and I think that sort of, it hits Conlon in the face, like, come on, it's staring at you, like, stop trying to avoid the obvious.
And I think what's interesting is that he looks at him and says, well, tell me what you want me to say.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, so it's kind of like, well, dude, you've been wanting me to lie and say all these things, so how can I give you the truth?
You've been feeding me grapes of information, and if you don't have anything to tell me, then all I can say is, dude, he's white, he looks like he's sort of trained, he's sneaky, he's stealthy. I mean, why don't you look inward and see where you could find this guy?
Yeah. I kind of liked it. It's like, dude, smells like a pig, looks like a pig, it must be a pig.
Right? But I feel like the Conlon's face, like, this episode, he went from, like, just doing his job, like, I know right from wrong, this is it. And now, he steps into all of this gray, and he goes down this path that ends up in his demise, unfortunately.
Yeah. So obviously Saul can't get the answers that he wants from his own government, so he goes to Victor.
Yeah.
And he says, it's like, hey man, what do you know about Tova Rivlin? Because my people don't have this thing. And I like it that this scene was interesting. It was funny because Victor's trying to tell him some sort of like story, and I couldn't even follow the story later. And Saul looks at him and says, like, you know what your problem is? It's that you always have these like stories that just don't make any sense. Or maybe it was backwards.
Yeah.
Saul was telling Victor the story, but in essence, I just caught that curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah. Oh gosh, but I mean, that's what their whole profession is based on, following the string, and that you wave in front of the cat, the metaphor, that I agree. I kind of got lost a little bit in that. I'm like Charles, like, I feel like this whole story is a metaphor for something.
Yeah, because he's talking about a squirrel, he's talking about the wheel, and then the squirrel was like watching the wheel, thinking he needs to push the wheel, and then he's gonna get his like claws caught in it. And I was like, man, dude, I was like, a squirrel and a wheel. I was like, at least use a hamster.
Yeah.
That I can follow just a little bit better. A squirrel and a wheel. I'm like, dude, don't squirrels like go after like peanuts or something? I mean,
I don't know. They stuff them in their cheeks. There's deception. I don't know.
Either that, or at least like squirrels, like maybe in the street when because like I've seen plenty of dead squirrel bodies in my time, so that would work for me too. Like squirrel like trying to cross the street and there's cars streaming by. But
oh my goodness. Okay, at this point, I'm not sure. Have we already gotten to the part where the president has her interaction with the housekeeper? I still don't know who that woman was.
Marjorie. Yeah, Marjorie. I'm not quite.
I feel like, is she a housekeeper? Is she just like an aide? But regardless, so I mean, she hears a phone go off in the kitchen. Right, and immediately she's like, "Oh my gosh, communication!" Like I feel like it almost feels like extreme, but like a hostage situation, and you see like air, or you know what I mean, or you see some glimpse of the outside world, and she takes it. She essentially breaks into this woman's purse and gets
it's like,
caught
oops,
with her hand in the cookie jar, and the woman's like, "Can I help you?" And then cut to next scene, they're driving away.
Right. Well, what's funny too is like it's just like, "Can I help you?" And then they move to the next scene, and I'm thinking, what do you do there? But at the same time, she is the president.
She's the president-elect. Be like, I was searching through your bag.
She's like, I'm Richard Nixon. I can do anything because I'm the president.
I mean, but obviously she wasn't that upset because she took her on a drive, which is funny because they leave at the same time that her chief of staff was finally going to get there, and she was finally going to have an ally, face to face, and then she's gone.
And that scene was funny to me because then again, it reminds me to the beginning scene where if I'm like the new chief of staff. Now, granted, everybody's doing their job, which is great, and and sometimes that's what we have to kind of go with. That sometimes people are just doing their job.
Yeah.
But I know me, and I'd be like, dude, do you know who I am? I would be like that. Do you know who I am? It's like, give me your badge number. What's your name? It's like, I'd be like, I'm gonna fire you.
I know.
If you don't get my ass over there right now.
He had to show some restraint. You could tell he was clearly annoyed because he shouldn't be so out of the loop. Like he's telling him, the president wants to see me. I need to see her. I am telling you this is where I need to be. If anything, he should have been in this the whole time. It's again kind of unsettling that he wasn't. And
we still don't know who
he still has to
the puppet master is.
Exactly. He still has to take a step out of his car. They have to go through his vehicle. I mean, I'm sure in a way he must feel like somewhat demeaned. It almost feels like a traffic stop and he's a suspect.
And for me, this is like the first time where, I've said it episode upon episode upon episode is Rob, her chief of staff. Is he on the good side? Is he on the bad side? Is he the informant? Is he not the informant? And tonight's or the episode, I would say, it might be confirmed that he's not.
Yeah, I never fully trusted him, but I kind of didn't think so. It seems like he's on the up and up, and he really is just her chief of staff and just as clueless apparently as she's been.
I did think it was kind of odd, and my mind goes to weird places, I guess, when this happens. But did you notice the dog starts barking at him?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him, I was like, is this a racist dog? I was like, because clearly he doesn't have any bombs or weapons, so why is the dog barking at him?
I don't know. It takes me back to, it almost felt like he was, a criminal and being pulled over, and the dog's meant to make him feel like a suspect. Like all of it. And I mean, obviously I don't know why the dog was barking, but the whole situation just kind of was set up to make him feel like not a chief of staff. Like you went from being the guy who should be running, everything around the president to, just another guy who is black, getting pulled over, being looked at suspiciously, and that must suck. That I feel like his situation probably felt very demeaning to him in his position.
Okay, so then let's kind of jump to Carrie and Conlon talk about the Jeep, and Conlon's telling her, I looked into what you told me. And I really couldn't find anything except because all this stuff started leading to dummy corporations.
Yeah.
And it only leads to this one thing, but it's so randomly far from what it should be connected to.
Yeah.
But which is good now because now you kind of start seeing Conlon and Carrie seeming to team up.
I know she even said something. She said something along the lines of we're essentially partners on this case, or I think he said it. And yeah, that's how it was starting to feel like. And then I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna help her. And
yeah, and he does one good for her. He pulls some strings to say, hey, listen, I have a buddy. He's gonna let you go see Quinn, and then from there we
get some information. Hopefully we follow this path down the right avenue and get some answers. So she does. She goes and sees Quinn.
Yeah, she sees Quinn, and
which was tough. The whole that scene was he is not in a good state of mind. I'm sure the arrest, the hold isn't helping him at all.
I mean, in a he
kind of turns on her.
Yeah, in a movie aspect where the movie ends in an hour and a half, you want him to tell her everything and say, yeah, the guy was across the street and this is what I saw, but he is not trusting Carrie whatsoever.
Which is weird because I don't get why he wouldn't. I think if he was thinking logically, he would see that, but he's not. I feel like he still does have some issues and PTSD. And
there's definitely something
because she did
brain-wise.
clearly save him in the previous episode when they came in. If she hadn't fallen over him on the ground, they really might have just killed him right then and there. So she saved him, but I don't think he saw it that way. He felt betrayed. And then even after being at that place for so long, she's trying to help him, ask him questions. She's saying, you're right. That's not registering with him anymore. Now he's kind of just in defense mode. I don't know who to trust. I'm just gonna, be myself craziness right now. And I don't know. where he's going to go on from there. But it sucks because, like, you want him to tell Carrie more stuff because I'm sure he made some observations. I'm sure he deducted a couple of things, but now it's kind of just up to Carrie and Conlon temporarily to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. She's got to put the pieces together without Quinn, because Quinn is, I don't trust you. You're not my friend anymore.
We don't know all that he saw. Right, like we saw him at the place where all the trucks were, but there might have been more that he got to see that night, and we don't know.
Right. Yeah, and I still think that, I know it's television, but I still think it's a little too convenient that the neighbor across the street has the bomb that Sekou drove in, and Quinn's able to see all this stuff. I think it's a little too convenient. I know it's television, and
you don't think that's I mean the way I see it, it's intentional. Like Carrie is a piece in this puzzle somehow, and they wanted to keep.
So as it unravels, she's gonna. It's like they're framing her for something.
I mean, and obviously she was defending the guy that they essentially framed. So Carrie is a big piece of the puzzle, and I think it was absolutely intentional that this guy's across the street. He probably was spying on Carrie. He wanted to know her movements and when she would be with her client, maybe when she's out doing other stuff, but that was intentional, I feel like, for sure.
So now we get to my favorite scene of this episode. Conlon actually shows up to this company. We don't know what the name is, and he's all pimp because he goes in there and he's smart. He's like, oh, I'm an insurance guy, and I'm just checking into this thing.
Yes.
Which I thought was genius and brilliant. I'm thinking, maybe someday, maybe I'll try that and see if I can.
He went from insurance guy to, okay, I'm an applicant now, and just kept getting more pieces of the details, and all the details just made it more confusing.
Yeah, and the Asian guy's just like rambling and rambling and rambling. And what I could get of it is that this is a private company that's looking for government type FBI, CA type people
with clearance or who know things
or know how to get things correct, and they'll pay you more.
Yeah, but what are they up to?
That's where we see Conlon.
Whole scene with Conlon
jumping in line with everybody, and
it was going down hallways. If anyone out there watches Mr. Robot, it's almost like exactly like an episode they had in the first season where he goes in and essentially does the same thing. Infiltrating this company, trying to get details. What are they up to? And he kind of he gets pretty far, actually, before he gets caught.
And what was genius about this is normally anytime somebody gets in an elevator or something, you see the thing go up. In this episode, the thing was going down.
Yeah, but the numbers were going up.
No, they were going down.
Were they?
Yeah, it was going -1, -2. So then the Asian guy. So the Asian guy was looking at him being like, whoa, that's weird that we're going down and not up in this elevator. In truth, who knows? Who knows if they actually were going up or down, because they could be doing just to mess with everybody.
I mean, it could be, I don't know. This company could be doing surveillance. They can be doing, bombs. It's so much.
And then, so then
data
Conlon,
information gathering.
Yeah, so Conlon in that pack of people kind of makes his way towards the back.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, I'm gonna duck out this way, and he totally ducks out and pops into a room.
Random room, empty, kind of looked like there were a bunch of old servers, or it used to be, I don't know, I imagined like that was a line where people were working, or stations, right? Because it was like
one big TV, lot of like long tables and chairs.
And that was weird. And then the woman came in and was like, what are you doing? But I feel like she came in with purpose. Like someone saw him either in a video camera, or like she went in knowing, I felt like he was there. Well, it wasn't just like she opened the room and was like, oh.
Because when he pops back out, she was saying, no, you were here for this. This is what you said. And then he pulls the FBI thing, and she's like, yeah, that doesn't hold any weight in here. And she's like, oh, by the way, here are the security guys. And the security guys are, bam, they're like right there immediately. So someone must have been watching on a camera.
Yeah, and then figured out that this guy's not supposed to be here. What is he up to? He's snooping. And clearly they take their security pretty seriously, because they're like, nope, you're getting out. Bye. There's the door. Which makes them all the more suspicious.
Yeah. So then Conlon gets gets out of there and gets Carrie on the phone. He's like, dude, meet me at my house.
Oh, it sucks because I get it. It's like, open line. But then at the same time, it's like, just tell her right away, what you're seeing, what you're thinking, because, hello, you're not going to get to.
Yeah.
And what happens?
So as time passes, now we see Saul with Victor again. And Victor managed to tell Saul that Tova Rivlin, her normal pattern is that she's going from Abu Dhabi to Israel, I think, and back and forth. However, there is one trip that's not the same, and he shows him pictures, and it's Tova and Dara Doll, which we did see
We saw that.
earlier
I think
in the
that was
season.
in the first episode this season, and we hadn't seen her since. I still don't know, like, what's her story?
Well, she's with I believe she's with the Mossad.
But like, I just, we don't know what she's up to as far as like, I just don't. What's going on with her? This was just this person that like was dropped, and like we saw her kind of weirdly conspiring with Dara Doll. She kind of disappeared. Now like her name's coming back up. What is this? I don't know. So many question marks around this woman. I'm like,
No, and then Victor tells Saul, "Hey, you guys aren't buddies anymore."
yeah.
He's almost saying, he's like, "You're kind of useless to me now too, because you're showing me that Dar don't trust you, or Dar don't like you, and I need Dar."
I like their banter. Their banter was kind of funny throughout the episode. Sometimes I was kind of lost, but like when he, even just like the way they describe the nature of their relationship, like, you know, oh, this
It's like old man banter without like actually like physical fighting.
He's like, what am I going to get for this? And he's like, you're not getting shit for this. You know how this works. And he's like, well, I don't know. It was funny because sometimes I'm like, is he being serious? Or again, is it just old man banter? Are they actually long time friends? And this is just how they mess around.
Yeah, it's a little grumpy old men.
Yeah.
Grumpy old men without so much funny and
Yeah.
kind of, wait, did I follow that right, or what's going on here?
But yeah, so and then
We see so now
Carrie goes to his house.
Well, we go to the president elect.
Oh yes, okay.
And she has a long drive with Marjorie, and this part's interesting because now we really see the reveal and kind of the character arc of the president.
Yes.
You know, and her, you know, they get talking about their sons.
It was a good scene. Oh my gosh, Marjorie, that lady, I was very frustrated with her because I feel like, and I'm one of those people that, you know, I think you should respect people in office, and obviously she respects her, but then very clear, not shy about saying, I didn't vote for you, I don't agree with you, I don't trust you, I don't like you. And you see her,
although she is doing the president a favor.
she's doing the president a favor, but she's making it clear, like, I'm just doing this out of respect, I actually don't like you. And I mean, that's probably tough, you know, someone telling you to your face that, but I mean, obviously she's in politics, she's heard that before, but she really tries to make an effort to like be like, well, why? Let me understand you. Can I change your mind? And the woman felt very like, I don't know, just what I imagine, like a lot of blue collar, you know, rural America sentiments and thoughts. And she's just like, you know, I don't really know about why you went into the war or why not. All I know is I lost my son, and which I understand the sentiments, but at the same time, I felt like she didn't appreciate where the president was coming from. I felt like not everyone would try to make an effort to still win you over and understand your side. And I didn't like she was like, you know, you were ashamed to talk about your husband. She just felt
her son.
Or not, yeah, her son. She felt very hostile the whole time. I was kind of annoyed at her. I felt like, you know, President-elect's making an effort to like talk to you, like not just as your president-elect, but like as a person and relate to you. And she was very hostile. So I don't know. I really liked the scene. It was good, but I was just very like, I feel like how some politicians might feel when they're trying to talk to like their electorates and they're trying to get through to them, and all they get is hostility, and it must be tough. It's a tough job.
In this case too, I broke it down in the sense of, for her, it was about you. If these people are going to war, they're fighting for a cause, they're fighting for something they believe in.
Yeah.
And they're obviously, if you're going to war, if you sign up for the military, you clearly know, especially in a war situation, you know that, you know, there's a 50-50 chance that you don't come back alive.
Yeah.
But she said her son was proud to do his duty and serve his duty. Even if you watch the movie Hacksaw Ridge, there was a big, long speech about Andrew Garfield saying why he wanted to be a part of that war, even though he wasn't going to hold a gun. And I think that was her case, is just saying, you know, don't brush this under the rug. You know, they were there for a purpose. They served their purpose regardless of like what happened. You know, which is unfortunate.
But it's tough because if you are in the shoes of the president-elect, she knows the details now. Like,
but she knows she knows behind the scenes stuff.
It's hard
absolutely.
for her, like, if she wants to say no, I don't support this war. I don't, because she knows, like, you know, we're not there for the right reasons. The intelligence was wrong, or this, and that. It comes off like you are not supporting the soldiers or not supporting, but that's not the case. Like, it's just that even if this person, if their sons went out there and they believed in it, they might still be putting their beliefs into something that's just not true. And that sucks. It's hard to tell her, you know what, your son died for nothing because we shouldn't have been there in the first place. That's always going to be hard to hear.
Right.
Nobody wants to hear that. But, it's a very fine balance of like, how do you explain to someone the truth without, bringing them more heartache about the situation in which they lost a child.
And then of course that starts to absorb in, she's saying, in your whole thing, you've never talked about your son. So now we see the president-elect really do a turn from the safe house to when she gets out of that truck in New York doing the press release. She stops being this kind of passive president-elect, and she now is like more aggressive, and she comes out and
talks to reporters and I loved that scene. I liked that she started, because I like that she took away from her conversation, like, okay, I'm not going to hide my son. I'm going to do him the respect. I can, say how proud I was of him, even if I was against the war. But, because I think I said this in the last few episodes, that I thought she was going to change her stance. I thought that she was going to say, like, they were like, oh, she didn't want to be, jump at the side of every single, boom. And she didn't. She didn't shy away from it. She stayed to it. She just incorporated, like, this new perspective, which I like. I didn't want her to flop. So that makes me think, like, this is a woman who's going to stand her grounds. She knows what she believes, and she's going to not be swayed, but she is going to be open to other interpretations, which I like. I thought that was really cool. I think it showed her strengths.
I want to say even a part of it is she was getting screwed, at least for I don't know how many hours, but clearly she's angry because someone's like holding her back, and she's president-elect. She's the one with the power. Like, no one should be,
Oh my gosh! During that part when she was answering questions, one of the reporters in the back was like, "Can you speak up louder? I can't hear you back there." And I'm like, "Who does that? I don't know." Oh my gosh!
Hey, they want their soundbite. They want their sound.
I'm just like, I'm not. Like, that's how you talk to the president-elect. Hello. And this isn't even like a real press conference. This was like an impromptu thing that you guys just hounded her, and you're lucky that she's answering
But it was cool.
questions.
But it was cool because, her chief of staff was doing his job.
Yeah.
And he's the one that we found out that he's the one that sent all the reporters there.
Yeah.
And,
but she didn't know that. I mean, you're just coming off the car and all that, but she was ready. Like, she was ready to go. She was like, I have answers for you. I'm going to tell you. And she didn't hesitate. Like, when they were like, where have you been? She's like, I'm not going to tell you. And
yeah, she's using her son's name. She's using Marjorie's son's name. She
felt like she had been prepped.
Yeah, she got out of that truck, and she even told her secret agent guy or whatever, dude, no harm should come to Marjorie.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't want to see any repercussions for her bringing me here.
I just feel like we hadn't gotten a chance to see why she won. Why she was elected, what her strengths were. And I feel like we kind of saw a bit of that in that scene. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I think at this stage, too, we're going to see her, as you said, you talked about how she's probably going to play out more and more, probably throughout the seasons, because now that they've shown who a president is.
Yeah.
More than just this, hopefully than just this season.
Yeah.
So, but we're seeing her turn. We're seeing her turn of where she's, becoming a player.
Yeah. And I think she will be. I don't think she's going to... I feel like this was her first time, going through the rodeo, and now she kind of saw what happened to her, and I feel like she's not going to, comply so easily next time. You know what I mean?
So, yeah. So then last week we saw, in the highlights you see Carrie is in his house. And clearly, like, there's some sort of adversary guy with a gun. She has a gun. And now this really unfolds.
Yeah.
She goes to Conlon's house.
To meet up with him because he couldn't tell her over the phone. I mean, you get it, but it's very frustrating as a viewer. And something's happening, and we don't understand. And then all of a sudden, boom, she sees a dead body.
There's a sandwich there. The door's busted open. I think the gate's busted open.
There's a scene. It was weird.
Blood drops on the floor.
And slowly you get the full picture. Something happened. I guess Colin was about to make him eat a great sandwich. And he didn't even get to finish it.
It looked delicious.
It looks like a nice, healthy
I kind of got hungry.
And he got taken out. It took me a minute to realize who it was on the floor. And then I was like, damn.
I know. Just as we thought that they were going to get together to, try to solve what was going.
They killed Conlon.
So she just lost her...
She lost her buddy.
Mm-hmm. She lost her... Yeah, exactly. She lost her Batman or her Robin or whatever.
Her new 2-second partner.
Yeah.
Essentially. But, damn, that means this goes deep. Like, he didn't even know that much. I mean, as far as we know, it didn't seem like he gathered that much information that he needed to be killed. Or maybe he did. And I mean, right? Because what would it be like? Why? That's an extreme. Like to just kill him. They haven't killed Carrie or Quinn, and I feel like they could have. If they, you know what I mean?
Well,
they've been watching her this whole time. If they wanted to take her out, they could have, but they took this guy out like that.
And notice how fast they got to his house. I mean, he only flashed that badge, so it's either they looked at his license plate when he was leaving to be able to track him that quickly.
Yeah.
So this is a big conspiracy in terms of who this company is, as you said, who the entity is.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, his little Alice in Wonderland thing is what did him in, right?
Yeah, and we see that the guy from across the street is the assassin.
Yeah. So, and it's crazy because all of this, if Quinn, I mean, unless I'm wrong and I'm missing something here, if Quinn hadn't been in her basement, paranoid, looking across the street, we wouldn't know any of this. Like, we wouldn't know that someone else was in the truck. And you know what I mean? Like, all of this is essentially thanks to Quinn's craziness. Because that's how they started following all of this. Oh, well, there's this guy, and there's this company, and there's this truck. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So essentially, Quinn's awesome, is what I'm saying.
He is awesome.
Even in his crazy state, look what he's doing.
And it finally explained where Carrie got the gun, because I was, because she was a civilian. So I'm like, where did you get your gun unless she has like a private firearm on her own? And like any normal human being, when you fear for your life and you just saw someone say, I was somewhere, they're dead, you start going for your family. So she goes to the school.
As soon as she was like, oh my gosh, this is real. Because, I mean, again, they killed him off. He must have been too close. They didn't like him, but they took it to that extreme. She knew she could easily be next. Like I said, I feel like if they wanted to kill her or her daughter, they could have by now. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe they're waiting for her because she's a piece of this and goes straight to find Franny. She's not there. She's freaking out at the teacher. Where is she? No, wait, calm down.
No,
she's
and
in the other room.
Yeah, and we see that she's good,
fine.
she's safe, and have a drink because we see crying Carrie face.
Oh, I miss crying Carrie face. But that was nice. I feel like a lot of this whole season, Carrie's really been trying to I want to take my daughter to school. I want to walk her home. And I think I mentioned this. It always felt forced to me, like she's trying to be. And this was a moment where I actually felt like she's a mom just afraid for her daughter. I didn't feel like she was trying to be a good mom or, you know what I mean, forcing let me show you that I can do this. It just felt like it was genuine, like place of I'm afraid. You are the most important thing to me, and I just got to make sure you're okay. It was a nice vulnerability.
Yeah, and over the season we've seen more and more of Franny and their relationship.
Yeah.
And there's a few more seasons after this one, so clearly like Franny's going to be involved more.
Yeah.
And at some point, hey, who's my dad? Not this season, obviously, but
I'm waiting for that. That's gonna be an interesting conversation or argument or whatever.
Hey, I like what you said too. Will we ever see possibly like Dana Brody coming back? Or
Well, okay, so this episode was called The Return, and we did see someone return, but
the president.
But at the very end.
At the very end.
Yes. Okay, so.
Oh!
Yes!
We see Astrid. Yes. Okay, so we finally get to the end, and something okay, so they build it up to be all this mysterious stuff going on. Conlon's dead, Carrie's running for her life, Max is there to oversee the house and make sure that everything's cool, and then you got Peter or Quinn, like he's in his. He's in his loony bin, belt locked down, and he's getting a shot. So you're thinking, where's he getting taken to?
Where's he going?
And voila, hey, it's his ex-girlfriend.
And friend, right? I don't trust her. I don't know what's going on. Like, how did she get her hands on him again? This is all so weird. It's confusing. But yeah, I was gonna say the episode was called The Return. I was hoping it was gonna be someone from the Brody family. I don't know, someone from a prior season making the return, but it was Astrid.
See, I didn't put that connection together. I was just thinking the return is the president-elect returning back to New York. Well, so that's genius on your end.
No, I thought because that's the last shot of the whole show. Because I was waiting for a character to return, and I didn't. I guess yeah. It could have also been the president too, but I wasn't. I don't know. I was trying to think back of when Astrid was on, what her role was. I don't remember being crazy about her. I don't fully trust her because now I feel like she's in with the people who, try to keep Quinn, locked away. I don't know.
So then from here, let's move into predictions.
Okay. So I feel like
AfterBuzz TV prediction.
What? No lights? Where are the lights, guys?
I feel like Quinn is a
There we
big,
go.
Thank you guys. Is a key in all of this because, like I said, if it wasn't for him, Carrie and Conlon wouldn't have even started investigating. They would have just been like, okay, fine, it was Seiko, we move on. So that's why I feel like yesterday or last week when I said, the whole raid, the hostage thing felt all suspicious. I feel like it's a big conspiracy. They know that Quinn is like giving Carrie information or like helping her figure things out that maybe she wouldn't have normally. And so that's why, now we have to keep him in holding. They're keeping him away from Carrie because if he continues living there, he's going to figure out more stuff. So that's why I don't trust this woman in this situation right now, Astrid. I don't know.
I think she's always been in previous seasons. She's kind of always been there to kind of be a voice of reason or something to add to Quinn. I think maybe at this stage, she probably saw him, maybe like the news breaking out. She saw him on TV and she's like, he needs my help. Although it's really convenient how she can break into a psych ward and do all this stuff. But I think maybe she's there to help get Quinn back on his feet. That's my prediction.
Okay. Yeah. History would say that she's there to help him. I just can't trust anyone right now, especially anyone who's trying to, I don't know, keep Quinn locked up or put him somewhere. So I think, I don't know, I feel like this company or whatever this entity is, they're doing something crazy. I want to figure out what they're doing, if it's some kind of surveillance, building a bomb, building a time machine. I know it's crazy. But like something that has all of these people so high up involved in this tryst. I don't know what it is, but...
Well, and clearly we're going to find out in the next couple episodes. So, Leslie,
do you have any predictions?
No, my prediction is that I think that Astrid's there to help get Quinn back on his feet, and hopefully we can see him kick butt in the season finale and really be able to help Carrie out. That's wishful thinking.
Okay,
I mean, he's still kind of half man, but where can everybody find you?
Everyone can find me at Leslita Face. Leslie Corral, that's my handle. That's what's up.
And you guys can find me on all social media at Rick Hong, RICKHONG. Please join us next week as we cover episode 7. Thanks
Tweet
for watching.
Thoughts.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.